if you're looking at where your raspberries come from, you can, and you know that if it's in November, they haven't come from Kent.
There's a perception that, say, the vegan brunches with avocados and things are very middle class, and I don't think it has to be like that.
I'm a student, so I used to go to Aldi and buy whatever's at Aldi.
We have to start somewhere.
Today we are here in the heart of London asking the public how they feel about issues surrounding climate change and their impact on the environment as consumers. We're here on behalf of Ethy, a new startup aiming to build a community of ethical businesses and shoppers.
Quite often with food miles and things like that, definitely.
I think more at the moment, more recently, yeah, because I feel like I've learned more about how much fashion can actually impact negatively our environment. So I try to check, make sure that I'm going to be wearing it loads, going to be sustainable.
Not often, to be honest, because I'm a student. So I used to go to Aldi and buy whatever's at Aldi.
Well, generally I don't buy much stuff in general because I think that's the most sustainable thing to do. But I guess look in supply chains, both for environmental and, like you say, ethical credentials in terms of whether people are being exploited, whether they're being paid a fair wage, a living wage, things like that.
With coffee, sometimes I do go for that fair trade coffee because I know I'd rather pay more and it go to the workers.
I will tend to buy things that have, at least if it is not recyclable, then biodegradable.
We're both vegan as well, so we typically do. Look at the carbon footprint of it as well, if possible. Some brands now put the little footprint symbol. The good one that I can think of as well is for example, Brewdog has it. How many grams or kilograms of carbon, the food that you're having is emitted. So yeah, I do take that into consideration.
For some things it's easier than others. You can, if you're looking at where your raspberries come from, you can, and you know that if it's in November, they haven't come from Kent.
With some things, I would say less so with meat products, animal products, but with things like coffee, chocolate, those kind of things, I'd say pretty easy, but harder with animal products.
Well, it's easier than it was, but I think awareness is greater now because you look at what the contents are, you look at where the origins are.
More so shopping online because I think it's easier to find that stuff out if you look at sort of the values at the website. It lists the values of the company quite often, but I find it harder in actual shops. They have the sort of sustainable ranges and stuff and it's listed, but you don't really get the actual background of that.
No,
Definitely
no,
not.
I think they could do a lot more.
Yeah.
Nowhere near enough. I understand the problems with how much it's going to cost, but it's the long-term costs are far greater. So spend the money now and save money in the long term. So it's a lot more that the government should be doing.
I feel like over-promising and under-delivering seems to be the main thing with every situation in related to the government.
No, it's all talk. COP26 was all talk. They were really pushing against, if my dissertation was about renewables and against oil and gas never comes into the equation once. So it's a lot of talk and a lot of small steps. Even with the commitments we've made so far, we'll shoot past the 1.5 degrees that we need to limit catastrophic climate change. So it's not enough in my opinion.
I think in certain places like charity shops, and Depop, because some things are cheap, but I think because some people view them as vintage, they're putting prices up, which isn't realistic to people, and that's why people buy from fast fashion, because it is cheaper.
I think maybe it's getting better, but not fully. No, it's quite expensive, obviously.
Yes.
For the materials and things that are used.
Not at the moment, it isn't. So I think a lot of people don't know what goods are available that are sustainable, what are the main issues surrounding sustainability in foods, and often sustainable foods are more expensive, and something could be done about sort of subsidising it so it's cheaper.
At the moment, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of gentrification of things that are meant to be cheap and accessible, like thrift stores, for example. I think there's a perception that, say, the vegan brunches with avocados and things are very middle class, and I don't think it has to be like that. I think there's a lot of countries where, say, veganism for example, was more commonplace, but it's being kind of repackaged as something for wealthier people.
If you're a single mom that's getting a minimal wage and having to care for 3 children, then it is tough. But anyone who does have expandable income can do it, in my opinion.
It's not necessarily about what they say they do, it's actually what they actually do. It's whether they're paying lip service to it and that they're promoting things but without following them up. So, you know, if you say, if a clothes manufacturer says that they produce everything ethically, you know, do you really know whether they are or not?
I don't really know many companies who are like that, I guess.
I guess maybe having like some sort of standard like relative measure of like this is only like 0.1% of our impact relative to like the rest of their company behaviour would be something that would be good.
More information on the product itself, greater access to sustainable products.
Be very transparent in their advertising. I think it's often brands often have these kind of supposed green schemes, say H&M with the kind of branding is trying to be more sustainable and ethical, but you don't really know what you can trust.
We have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
It's something that we can do. It's easy enough for us to help out with, so might as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like every small move matters, I think, you know. And whatever an individual can do to make a change, a difference, you know, it all counts.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, on a personal, individual level, collectively, if you think about multiplied by everybody in the country and in the whole world, that's a huge difference anyone can make on a very small, individual level. Even just something simple like, say, giving up meat for 1 day a week. If everybody does that, that's a massive change it can make.
Corporate behaviour shouldn't be led by consumers, I don't think. I think it should be led by regulation.
I feel like the majority of the meaningful decisions would have to be made by large companies, not consumers.
Though we make a dichotomy often between companies and individuals, the companies are ultimately serving us as individuals. And if enough people make a change, then I think it'll make a difference. Because ultimately, even if a company is driven purely by profit, then it will respond to changes in people's behaviours.
Yeah, I think if more people find it kind of influential to do so, then more people, and then it won't just be individual, it'll be like a group effort.